I won't let anybody tell me any different, because I need to follow my dream.
You know, when I was a kid, we were growing up real poor, and I had 3 older sisters, a mom, and a dad who worked his tail off to provide for us. So naturally, being the youngest, my parents didn't have a whole lot of attention to divvy up left. I guess kind of the whole crux of my story is insignificance and feeling small and unimportant, and like I was just along for the ride. In fact, that expression, being just along for the ride, is something that I heard a lot growing up. You know, even in the literal sense, like we would be in the car and like we couldn't afford a sitter, so just, you know, throw me in the back. You know, when you're a kid, you got that high-pitched, annoying kid voice, and your words don't count yet. That's kind of what I grew to believe, that my words didn't count. There was a period of time when it seemed like every other week, like a family member was dying. That was awful. That was one of the hardest times of my life. And the worst part is, you know, when you feel small, when you feel insignificant, and something that huge happens to a child, you feel powerless. There's nothing you could do. Years later, it felt like things were okay and normal and functioning, and I would just like burst out into tears for no reason. I was told that that's just my brain's way of processing what happened. You know, you go numb. You can only cry so much. That feeling was such a constant growing up, that being small. You know, nightmares, I think that that's kind of your truest self, you know? That's what you're beautiful with. You can't lie to yourself, you know? That's what keeps you up at night. Personally, for me, my nightmares usually consist of 2 main motifs. One, I'll foresee something really bad about to happen to somebody that I love, and I'll try and warn them vocally, like, hey, don't do the thing you're about to do, or there will be this consequence. And they just laugh, you know. They don't take me seriously. It's just JD. His words don't count, and they do it, and I have to witness, you know, what happens. And the second is that I'll be on stage playing a song or a chord that I played a million times before. And when I go to play that chord, it sounds nothing like what it's supposed to sound like. And the crowd starts booing and saying, get someone up there who knows what they're doing. When one anchors the bulk of their identity into a skill, that's a dangerous thing, because a skill is something you can lose or forget, you know? So I feel like if I had that taken away from me, what would I have left, you know? God's given me gifts, but that's not the entirety of what I am. And I know that now. I did attempt suicide. There was a lot of depression and darkness. And I didn't know how to escape it, you know. I couldn't live like that, you know. I don't know that it was that I wanted to die. It was just that I couldn't live like that any longer. But I will say I developed a love for God and for music at a very young age. And those were the 2 things that I loved the most and probably understood the least. And it wasn't until I reached a state of more maturity in both of those arenas that I was only able to work through some of that junk. There came a point that I started to realize all that pain, all that darkness, all that hurt that I went through, it has a functionality to it. It wasn't, you know, devoid of meaning. I realized that I could use what I went through to help people, to tell them it gets better. Believe me, I know I was there. So I can honestly say God foremost and music second. That saved my life, honestly. Before I got serious about my faith, you know, music was all I had. And that's something you can lose. So, you know, you gotta build your house on solid stone, not something that can go away.